Chris Bowen is a worry, isn't he? He's the climate change minister. Plans to make us buy more electric cars to save the planet, like the one he was promoting last month. A $110,000 electric ute, just right for the tradies. And by the way, it can't tow anything heavy for more than 160 kilometres or so. But here's one thing that Bowen has forgotten to tell the tradies as he plans to force, well, all of us really, to give up gassier and cheaper petrol cars by imposing tougher emission standards on them. It's one thing that the makers of electric cars have tried to keep secret as well, the cost of replacement batteries. Joining me is Richard Blackburn, National Motoring Editor of news.com.au. Richard, thank you for your time. You have dug deep, an excellent story, and found some of the information that car companies don't want to tell. What is the price of a replacement battery for an electric car?
Well, it's not cheap. I actually only got a response from 2 manufacturers out of 10, and the response from one of them, which was Lexus, was $47,000. Thank you very much.
$47,000 for a replacement battery. Why wouldn't the other car companies tell you?
Well, probably because theirs probably cost, around about the same price. It's obviously it's a sensitive point with them. I mean, what they argue is that you won't need to replace your battery for at least 8 years because they all come with an 8-year, 160,000 kilometre warranty. But that's kind of information that people will want to know when they want to buy your car as a second-hand car, or if you're going to own it for longer than that 8 years, and the national average is 10 years. So at some stage, you're going to want to know what that battery costs, and they aren't telling at the moment.
Well, I've already seen an invoice for someone who had to replace their car battery, and it's about these sort of figures. But the thing is, you said 160,000 kilometres. A lot of people would drive that if they, heavy use. This is really important information, isn't it?
It is important information, and it's information that you should give a consumer when they're going to buy your product. You need to know about longevity, you need to know about replacement costs. So there are things that should be out there in the open, and consumers that can then make their own mind up. They might decide that 8 years is enough, and they'll take the risk. But it is definitely something that needs to be laid out in plain English to the consumer before they make what is a very, very large purchase.
Well, from these prices, $47,000, that's essentially, for many people, would be a write-off of the car once the battery runs out. Now, just last week, we saw one problem with batteries. The new electric ferry bought for Wellington in New Zealand for about 3 times the price of a diesel one. Got to save the planet. It ran flat, and the ferry had to be towed back for recharging, which takes about an hour and a half between trips. You can't actually, just drop some fuel on the stranded ferry to, keep it going either. You have to tow it back, which much the same with electric cars, by the way, that run out of juice on the highway. I don't know if Chris Bowen has thought all these things through. Richard Blackburn, what do you make of this whole plan to push these electric cars when a lot of these little details, so big details, haven't quite been thought through?
No, I think you're right there, and I think that the sensible path is to look at hybrid technology, which already can save you between 30% and 50% of your fuel bills, and only costs you an extra $2,500 over the price of a petrol car. That's a sensible way of reducing our emissions, and reducing our emissions straight away. But I agree, there are plenty of things to be ironed out with the way this whole electric network is going to unfold, that we need to sort out now rather than bring in the rules and decide how they're all going to work later.
Before I go, National Motoring Editor, what do you drive?
Hyundai i30, actually. So
not an electric car,
nice,
mate.
Cheap to operate, and no, but I do drive them. I do test them quite often.
But news you can use for the viewers. Good on you, mate. Thank you, Richard Blackburn, for your time. Really appreciate it.